Okay, so we're just going to review what we did yesterday to start off with. So we created our roads, our sidewalks. We have 2 vanishing points with this drawing, which means we have 2 directions where things are getting smaller as they go farther away. That's the biggest difference, obviously, from our 1-point perspective. We created some buildings. We did some details on those buildings. We left off making this sign, and we are going to make a road after our sign. So some good questions about the sign. It was a little tricky to figure out what direction each sign needed to be. So remember, your options are, for horizontal lines, are to go to your vanishing points. So you have to think about the direction that the road's going to show the direction of that sign. Now, Emily or someone had a really good question. How do you know what sign should be on the top? Well, what do you guys think?
Whatever road follows.
Okay, yeah, but of our 2 signs, maybe look at my example really fast. Everybody put your pencils down and look up here for a second. Okay, out of my 2 signs, which one should cover up? Because we're going to have some covering up. And this is dependent on your angle. If yours is lower, you might cover up more. If yours is higher, you might not cover up as much. But, okay, Kendall thinks the top one. Does anybody agree with her, or why?
Like what's intersecting?
Okay, if they're intersecting, we did this example yesterday. If they're intersecting, it would look like this, okay? Where this piece in the front is going to go over top. On this direction, it would be the top one, okay? Because it wouldn't make too much sense to have this one that's looking like it's going farther back to be in front of the one that's closer to us. So you just have to think about depth. But with this one that we called Molly Boulevard, Molly Road, we went to our right vanishing point because we were showing that's for the right road, okay? Did anybody else have questions about that? Because we ran out of time right as we were finishing that. Yeah, Kendall.
How do we put like our letters going to a vanishing point?
Your letters should, if you use your letters based upon the top and the bottom of the sign, they should naturally go with the vanishing point. But yes, if they have horizontal lines in them, they go to the vanishing point. But their height should go along with the base of the top and the bottom of the sign, or you need to create new guidelines. Okay? Any other questions? Okay, we're going to put in this road. Let's put in this road. So what we're going to do is, just right in this area, we're going to put a road going back to our right side. Okay? So a straight vertical line doesn't make sense. What vanishing point do I use? What makes the most sense?
Right interruption, but if any student would like to meet with Draven about the King's College, please go to the college, or please go to the conference room after that. Thank you.
Okay, yes, Kendall's right. We need to go to our right vanishing point. So whenever you have a chance where you're just like, I don't know what vanishing point I'm supposed to go to, use your ruler and try to figure out what would make most sense before you make a line. So I'm going to line my ruler up, but how do I know where I can start this? So it doesn't run into a building, because that would be weird, right? If my road ran into a building. How do I know where this building ends? Yesterday we said, well, we don't really see where this building ends, so we don't have to worry about anything. But now we have to imagine it. Do you think that there's an even better way that we could think about it? How did we know where the corner of this building began?
We drew it.
Okay. So we acted like we knew where building number 1. We acted like this is a glass building. We knew it went back to our left vanishing point like this, in which case we were able to see oh, building number 2 started right here. I'm going to mark this on my paper. You don't necessarily need to. You'll be able to kind of lightly do this on your paper later. So building number 2 started right there. So I have to, what would make sense for me to be able to put in,
Vanishing point.
which one? Yep, my left vanishing point. So if I connect my ruler with my left vanishing point there, I can imagine where the bottom of this building would be, and then I could bring my vertical line down. Again, you don't have to do this on yours right now if you're just watching. And then I can see the corner of that building. This is something that on my paper I would erase later. But this gives me a chance to say, do I want a road with a sidewalk? If I do, then I need to leave an even bigger gap. I can't just make that road start right at the edge of this building. I might make a sidewalk first, a sidewalk line. How do I know how thick my sidewalk should be, though? All these questions, isn't it hard? What did we do in 1-point perspective? We made a new road, and we judged the space of the new road based upon the existing road. So if we're going to make a new sidewalk right here, how do I know how wide to make this?
Based upon the existing
based upon my existing sidewalk. Okay, so I'm just gonna kind of eyeball guess how wide that sidewalk space is, and I'm gonna put that in here. Now, depending on how much road you're going to see, you could connect this entire sidewalk to your opposite vanishing point. Okay, so I could have, this could be my sidewalk, in which case then I'm going to put a road. So I'm going to look at the thickness of what my road would be. This is a little harder because some of the road goes off the paper, right? We're imagining that the road goes off the paper. So I'm still creating a road using my right vanishing point based upon the thickness of what the road is now.
So we're trying to do it above the X, or like where like the two things met.
Yeah, you can't, so what I did is if I know that building number 2 ended right here, I have to create everything behind that because I don't want my sidewalk to run into my building, I don't want my road to run into my building. So this is just setting me up for a realistic scene. Okay, so right now I have one sidewalk, I have a road, which we will make look like a road in a second, and then what could I put on the other side? I could put on another sidewalk if I want. There's some sides of the roads that don't have sidewalks, right? So you don't have to. I'm actually not going to put another sidewalk because I'm going to leave space to do one other thing back there. So I'm just going to kind of have it like curb meets grass. Does that make sense? So why don't you kind of create a road, create your sidewalk, get these angles.
Do you have to have a road in it?
You don't have to, but I wouldn't mind you just
Don't we
practicing
have
this
to erase
concept.
some of that sidewalk though, because we went on driving for a sidewalk.
Correct. We will end up erasing some of that and putting our crosswalk in.
Oh, I forgot to do it all the way. It's my dad. Something to be like.
So I would just say right now you're a little bit compared to like building. So I would maybe go like here. So they're just two straight lines. You're gonna start your other sign right in the middle where it meets the pole.
So mine doesn't look right.
So you want to see that. So this road sign is going towards the vanishing point. This road sign.
Should we finish our sidewalk?
Okay, let's say you didn't want another road, but you wanted another sidewalk. Let's say you want a park area or something. This is still the way that you could put in some sort of path or some direction. Maybe it's a driveway to a building. There's a various ways you can use this concept, this skill. Okay, but good question from Heather. How do we make this look like this? We don't have to drive over a sidewalk because that would be bad on your car. Okay, I am going to take my original or my line that is actually for my road. I'm going to connect it to the edge of my sidewalk, make a straight line down there to show my curb stops, and then I got to do some erasing. I kind of lucked out. The other line of my road met up right with the edge of my sidewalk, so I'm going to keep that like as is. What you up to?
This is for your book. Could I just like pretend like take a picture?
Yeah, you guys keep working, Art One Kids, and Anna's gonna take a picture for your book.
You can like, I'm gonna take a picture of you doing stuff and then I want you to smile at
I
me.
don't need to be doing stuff. They can. Mrs. Steinbach doesn't need to be in your book.
It's for the faculty page. Yes, you
Oh,
Right.
good.
Where did you just take it away?
Why does it keep focusing?
I don't know. It just means I don't need to be in it.
No, that's a that's on.
Maybe come back and do it or
I'll
something.
figure it out. Give me a second.
Alright, we're gonna keep working.
That's fine, keep going.
Okay. So, on our last drawing, we showed a way to show, well, we used a way to show that this is an additional road. What did we put in there? I think we just talked about it, yeah, a crosswalk. So it's the same concept. I'm gonna now use my left vanishing point like I did making my sidewalk, and I'm just gonna put a couple blocks of, you know how they have the white painted areas? I'm gonna put some lines there for that. We can use no straight horizontal lines, so how in the world do I connect those again? To make them look like they're boxes, or like painted little blocks.
You connect the opposite.
Okay, I'm gonna use my opposite vanishing point or my right side on, in this case, to make my sections, okay? And then I'm gonna erase some pencil lines to leave a space. Do we need these to look like they're 3D? What do spaces on roads normally look like? Like our curve is 3-dimensional. Do we need to do anything with that here? Yes, no, maybe. I don't know. Yeah, no, because these are painted lines. They're pretty flat. Although slick. Have you guys ever walked across one like when it's raining? They are actually slick. Okay, so we're creating those spaces. You would want to darken your sidewalk or do something that shows that these are a little different from your sidewalk. Right now I'm just going to put some pencil on there lightly. Just to show the difference of space. Anything else we could do to show that this is a road?
Stop sign.
Okay, we could put a stop sign or some sort of like a stop light. What about like on the road itself?
Draw the middle lines.
Okay, draw the middle line. This, again, we're kind of using the concept of the dash line, but you could draw a solid line to show a no passing. Should my line, should they get smaller as they go towards the other vanishing point?
Yeah.
Yep, they should. And the line should start becoming closer together. Okay, other details. Do we need anything on our sidewalk? What would be helpful on the sidewalk space? Okay, putting a curb if you didn't already.
What if we want to do a
Okay, you could do a solid line. You would just make your first, you could just do one line, or you could make it a little thicker on the one side just by moving your ruler and then filling it in. Does this sidewalk line, does it need like cut spaces or not really, or like does it need cut lines in the cement like a normal sidewalk would? In which case, if you're like, yeah, I think it could use that, how do we do that? Huh? Vertical lines, would that make sense? No, that would look like a fence. That would be a good way to do a fence though. Go to which one in this case? I'm going to go to my left vanishing point. My right vanishing point made the sidewalk. My opposite vanishing point will make the cut lines. So I have a whole lot of space that I get to skip in here. Now, just like when we made our other sidewalk lines, as we get closer to the opposite vanishing point, or as our ruler becomes almost straight, our lines become almost straight because we are nearing our horizon line. So as you work on this and you're like, "Ooh, that seems really weird," it is correct.
Yeah,
Our other option would be straight vertical lines, and that will make it look like a fence.
instead of continuing it like over there, can't we like put different
You could always stop it. You might say, you know what, this road leads and then it's a dead end. You don't always have to show that it like where it ends up because you might want to fill that space with buildings later. Okay, so we have cut lines in our sidewalk. We have a road. We have lines on our road. It shows the road. We have a stop walk. We said you could put in a stop sign. Your stop sign is not really any different from that sign we already made, so I'm not gonna do that right now.
My road, what if it's weird? Because yours looks like it's like flat, and mine looks like it's tilted.
Here's that one. do it like right where your sidewalk was, but you still use, like I made extra with a line. With that vanishing point and then a line. And then use this vanishing point to like, section.
Just doesn't make them like smaller.
I know.
Yeah, you can make it any size. Whatever size you want.
Should I name like Joel, Noel, Joel, and Pete? Just like your roads.
Okay, can I take a super cute picture of this? It's actually working.
Sure.
Smile at me.
Okay.
Oh my gosh.
It doesn't want it.
Nope, got it.
Okay.
Lighting in
Hopefully I was looking.
Thank you.
Okay. We are gonna make a few more small things and then we're good. So I'm gonna have you just kind of freeze what you're working on. I know you kind of went off and you're working, finishing up the road or you're finishing up stuff on buildings. I want us to make, we're gonna talk about that series of, I'm just gonna show you fast because this is something you may or may not want to do, a series of street poles. The concept is the same with our 1-point perspective, meaning I'm going to use one vanishing point. I'm going to pick my side. Okay, I'm going to work on the right side, and I'm going to mark out like where I want my streetlights to go. How many streetlights do you have to have? We said you need a series of streetlights in order to make it a unique object. Okay, 3 or more. So, I have my marks. I'm going to create the height of what I would think my first streetlight should look like. Street light. I'll make it kind of tall. That looks good. Okay, so I have this pole shape. Now what I'm going to do is, using the same side vanishing point, I'm creating the height. You can do the same concept if you're building a fence. I'm going to put a really light kind of guideline for myself. And then where all those other pieces were, I create more vertical lines. Okay, needing that. And then I can make my street lights that are closer to me a little thicker. The one in the back pretty thin. And then I have to decide what I want the tops to look like so they actually have a light. Okay, this would be the same concept if this were like a huge fence or a small fence. You would just create all your fence posts first and then you find your way to connect them. Alright, that's if you want to do street lights. This next building I want us all to do. Okay, all of us together. Remember how I left this little bit of open space right here? Right in the back? This is where we're going to create our last building together. And then we're going to do one other thing. Alright. Why don't we all put our pencils down when we're ready to move on so you can watch this next part. I'll give the rest of you about 15 seconds. Finish up what you're doing. Alright. Alright, Isaac here. What we're going to do is, right in this area, I'm going to have you do this with me. I want you to leave a gap from your road or sidewalk, whatever is there. We always start with our corner line. We're going to create something that looks more like a house versus like a cityscape type thing. That way, if you want this to be more of a like rural location or like an in-town location of houses, you know how to do that. So just a vertical line, a straight vertical line right in here. You have to make sure you start it below your horizon line, below this spot, and then I'm going to make sure that mine goes higher. Maybe that's too tall. Okay, remember buildings are starting to get a little smaller as we go farther away. So just something like that. That's the corner of my building. So let's make a line in that back grassy area. We're going to talk about how to make it look like it has a roof. Okay, I'm going to, remember every building has a left and a right side. With my right side, I use my right vanishing point. With all the details on my right side, I use my right vanishing point. I'm just going to give this like a little square front,
Does it have
approximately the
does our line
square
have to
size.
start below vanishing point?
Yes, because otherwise you wouldn't draw it in perspective. Anything drawn behind the vanishing point or behind the horizon line, you just see the fronts of the building. Okay, So your right side horizontal lines go to your right vanishing point, end it with a straight vertical line, and then your left side. I'm gonna create my left side to be a little longer. It would probably be good for you to do the same so we get this roof look similar. And then finish that. So we've created a lot of buildings. This one, the concept is the same, just our shape is a little bit different.
How many buildings were required?
We'll talk about that in a little bit.
Wait, so like for the square part of it, do we use the question point?
Well, that's the right side of my building, so I go to my right vanishing point. So it's all, like, I remember I said we have a left and a right side still.
Sometimes like right on the side.
I do too.
Which one is your corner line? Which one is like the corner of this guy? Okay, so this is all right, that goes to your left side. Now you need a side that goes to your right side. You're gonna do your right vanishing point and your right vanishing point, and then put the straight line. And then you just need to create your bottom. Oh, yeah, you did, so straight line, sorry. Okay, right now it looks like we have a floating house.
Oh.
Okay. What would make a house look like a house versus like a big structure?
Triangle.
Okay, we'll talk about the roof in a second. What else on, yeah, that's a good point though. What else okay, like a normal kind of front door, like when you think of a front door of a house, okay, probably something that's not a double door in most circumstances. What else would be good to put on here? Smaller windows. You could add a garage later if you wanted. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put, let's see, I don't know what I'm gonna put. I'm gonna put I'm on my right side, by the way. So what vanishing point do I use? My right vanishing point. So I'm gonna make the top of my door, this is just gonna be like a little single story house for me. Okay, I'm putting the top of my door. I use straight vertical lines that go down for the sides of the door.
Is that your garage?
Nope, this is my little tiny house.
But yours looks big.
Yeah, it's a little big.
If it's far away, wouldn't it be
It
like?
probably should be smaller, you're right. I agree. Let's change it.
I really like. I'm so stressed out.
Alright, what can I put on the sides of this door?
Windows.
I could put little windows or something. How about some siding on a house?
Like
Siding
brick.
is good. We could do brick, we could do regular siding. Just gonna make, so I'm using the right vanishing point to make all my details that are horizontal type lines because I'm on my right side still.
And this one is due after Christmas break, right?
Correct.
It might be 2-story.
Sure.
Mine's a 2-story.
You build your house however you want to build it. What's a way on a house I can make these look like windows instead of like,
Oh, put these as windowsills,
what are these things?
like glare marks.
Okay, I could make it look like it's glass, like a reflection.
Or
Trim. You could put some trim on it, that would be a good thing. What about even like, do you guys know what mutton bars are? What they're called? Like where they put little like bars in the window that are just literally for decorative purposes. I'll put a couple of those in mine.
Can I actually
Go all the way- Sure. Okay, I know I could put more windows on my left side. We talked in our 1 point perspective about like details around like front doors on homes. Sometimes they have like those windows that go around the whole door. Just there's sometimes windows in the door. Just lots of things you can do. Okay. If you were going to put siding or brick, this is something we've done. I'm just gonna do brick like, I'm gonna go about halfway up my building. Using my right side, I'm using my right vanishing point. I'm gonna put a series of lines. Where do I start my lines on my left side though to make it look like this brick wraps around the whole building, but it's just a halfway point?
I would go to the left bench.
I go my left vanishing point, but where do I start them so that they line up?
Same spot, your like right one stop.
Same spot, my other one stopped at the corner. I'm gonna zoom in a little bit so you can see this. So you won't really see my vanishing points as I'm working.
How do you usually like in it? Or do you like guesstimate?
What do you guess? What?
Like get the line selector.
When I do that, I did guesstimate that. I mean, if you were really particular or you really struggled with it, you could use your ruler. Like for instance, this is my 16th side of my ruler. You could do it every 16th. If you're like, oh, that's way too close, you could go every 1/8 of an inch if you wanted. You could use the lines on your ruler. I just guessed. That's a good question. But I'm looking at where those lines meet up on the corner in order to make my left, the details on my left side using my left vanishing point. One of those lines is like spot on with my horizon line, so it's super straight. Okay. Bricks. How do we make things look like they're bricks and not lines?
You fill it in.
You have a house.
Stagger.
Stagger, but what kind of line do I use?
Straight.
I use a straight vertical line, even on both sides, even though we have some like slanted stuff going on here. These are such small lines on mine, I'm going to eyeball it. If you find yourself like, I cannot make a straight little line even though it's small, then use your ruler. It's okay if you find yourself in that boat. Same concept on the left side. It's the same thing. Straight vertical lines, always. You don't get to make up your own angles. And you go every other line, you stagger them just like on our 1 pointer. Okay. Whole house, got some bricks on it.
Does it have to be brick?
Doesn't have to be brick.
Houses too. Yeah. Well, I might do that. I like having the
Even walls have to go to your angle. Look on your right side, it's got to go to your right point. Okay, ready to make a roof. Alright, I'm going to have the peak of my roof. This isn't, I'm not going to say this is always true, probably generally the peak of a roof is on the front or the side of the house. What do you think? Typically the front, okay? So I'm just gonna, I literally am gonna use my ruler for this part. My roof is right at close to an inch, so I'm gonna go right at a 1/2 inch. I'm gonna make a little tiny mark on the front of my roof, just a little dot, so I can see where that halfway mark is. And then what I'm gonna do is give the height of my peak. So I'm gonna take my ruler, making a straight vertical line, and I'm just going to make a little line up. This is how tall I want my peak to be. Okay, peaks come in all different heights.
This thing's an inch from
Okay, so it's the peak part. We said you're never going to make up angles. We're going to kind of break that rule right now. We're just going to connect these two lines, okay? We're going to connect. I'm connecting from that line that I made, that vertical line, to the corner of my house. Okay, that's all I did. That vertical line I made, that's the height of my peak. I'm using that to create the middle part of my peak, and I'm connecting it to the edge of my house to get that kind of that triangle look, and then I do that same thing on my other side. I'm at the front of the house, making a peak for the roof,
They go to. I think I know.
and then you go to your left corner. So yours should look like this. You should have a little triangle top. Yep.
Let's go to my church. Doesn't that count for a church to anyone?
Yeah, it does.
Thank you. I would cross like I might make this into a church.
Okay, really fast. We're gonna make the top of the roof. The other part. As I walk around, some of you have different angles than me. You might not see a lot of the top of your roof. I am going to. Emily, how did you do that? You did it right. I just matched it up. So this is the right side of my roof. It's on my right side of my building. To make the left side of the roof with the left side of your building, you go to your left vanishing point.
Mine is exactly parallel.
Yep, yours was one of the ones I saw where your line met up right with the top of your home. Okay, so you should have this look. We're going to talk in a second about how to finish it up.
I'm kind of.
Yep. Yours is too tall, so you're not seeing it. It disappears behind your house.
Wait, are we connecting it to the side of the house?
Just like this. If your angle, okay, everybody listen. Your angle might be so tall that it disappears into the house. Your angle might be so tall that you don't see it at all. Okay, it's like, where's the roof that's hidden? It's hidden from my perspective. Remember, this is all about where our perspective is based upon our horizon lines. If you look at your building compared to your horizon line and the height of it, if yours looks different than mine, your roof will look different. Okay, it doesn't mean you're doing it wrong. It just means that your angle is different than mine. If you had this situation though, even if yours doesn't look like this, if you had this situation, how do you finish this off?
You draw a straight line.
Draw a straight vertical line. I'm gonna do that. Tell me how it looks.
Right.
Don't look right. Okay. I don't think it looks right either. What else could we do?
Draw it to the other point of the house. Match it with the same vertical or slanted line that you're.
Yeah. Last time of cheating, making up our own line. We're just gonna take our ruler. We're gonna line it up with that line that we had. I got a little bevel on my part here. And then you basically just want to slide your ruler so that you're mimicking that line that you already did. Kind of like when we did that canopy on our 1-point perspective. I'm too far over here. We just made that half circle. We mimicked that shape later. And then that way it looks like we have like the same angle making the back of the house.
My name's upside down. Yeah, what happens
So yours just
It just means that
goes into here. This means that your house is a lot taller. So you didn't move that around. Yep. Yep. And I'll come around check these houses later. I want to do one more thing with you, and then we're totally done with the demonstration. That way tomorrow we can just work, okay? And I will come. Or 2. Or your 1. I don't care yet. We'll talk about that too. We're gonna make a bench. A bench could be a unique object. All right. I'm gonna make a bench right in front of this house. I have a little extra space. Okay, this is something that if you are like, I don't have room for it, or I'm okay if you just want to follow along with your eyes up here instead of doing it with you. How do I start a bench? Ah.
Straight up and down line. Straight
Okay.
down to the left side.
For what?
The bottom of it.
Okay, you know what I'm gonna make first? I'm gonna make the seat, okay, where your bottom would go.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna make a little seat. So I'm gonna start with using my left vanishing point. I'm gonna make like this is where the front, this is where your legs would bend. Okay, I'm gonna use my back. I'm gonna move my ruler so that I'm looking underneath the ruler. And then I'm going to connect those 2 lines with my right vanishing point. So I gotta make that other line a lot longer. Whoa, lot longer. Sometimes I have where people want to make like a bus stop type thing. This would be that concept. And then I use my right vanishing point also to finish this side. Okay, so I have the seat. That's a big seat. That's a seat for like 40 people. It's okay. We're gonna run through this so we get the sun. Okay, how do I make like where my back would rest? How do I do that? Okay, we know we need vertical lines, but where? I would start at the back 2 corners. These back 2 corners, I'm going to put little dots on them. Remember, make sure if you're not doing this that you're following along with us up here. I'm going to make 2 vertical lines going up from those 2 back corners. It's okay if you go over your house. We'll just have to do a little erasing. And then how do I connect those?
Right, because
Okay, do I use my right vanishing point? It's going to angle down.
not left.
Okay, I have to use my left. That's where sometimes you're not 100% sure. You got to just test it out. You want it to have about the same angle as where the 2 pieces meet. And we knew we used our left vanishing point for that. What else do we need?
The legs.
Julie, what do you think we need on our bench?
Legs.
Legs, that would make sense. Okay, so for my corners, I would just do straight vertical lines down. Wow, my seat part is really wide. I would change that if I were you, if yours looks like mine. But how do I know where my legs should end though? Because we don't want one to look like really wonky or, how do I change that?
Draw a line that, or a horizontal line.
Okay, I just need to look at like my left vanishing point with my 2 left legs. They should end at the same plane. Okay, so I'm gonna darken those spaces, and I have this back one a little long. I can do that same concept with my right side for my right legs. Here, this is how I would need to have a straight vertical line going down, but then it should meet that leg right there. Does that make sense? Do I need a back leg? Do I see that?
Can't see it,
How do I know?
because it's hidden.
How do I know if it's hidden?
If it was see-through.
If it were see-through, what could I look at, line it up with? Just give you any guesses?
The back one with the right vanishing
I could use my back one. Act like, we talked about a cube. How a cube, everything is nearly parallel from each other. Think of the back legs as being part of the cube. So I'm going to take this back left leg, line it up with my opposite vanishing point, and then I can decide if I would have a straight line down, would I see it? Not really. Maybe a little part of it right there. Okay? So that is a bench. Horizon line, what do we do here?
Just draw a line.
Okay, you want to probably connect them if you have open space. But what else do we do? Does the world fall off there?
No.
Okay, so what could we do?
Hills.
Okay, we talked about how you could have like some rolling hills if that is appropriate. What else could you do? We said mountains. Yep, mountains would be fine. Don't we all wish we had that view? What else could we do? What if this is a big city? What would we put there?
More buildings.
More buildings, but
Like
do we?
big ones.
Are they
skyline.
drawn? Here's my question for you. Are they drawn in perspective, or do we just see
No,
the
just
front?
straight up. and
When
down.
they're behind this horizon line, we're just seeing the fronts of buildings. Okay? We got time. We're going to look at some examples. Okay? Stay with me here. All right, these are old student examples of 2-point perspective. With your 2-point perspective, I want you to purposely have some sort of a theme with it. What does that mean?
Country.
Wild
Country.
West.
Means that maybe it's the Wild West. Okay, listen, maybe it is downtown, the old market area of Omaha. That's kind of a cool area. Maybe it is Colorado. Maybe it is New York. Okay? These people purposely picked an area.
Color.
All right,
How do
this
we
is,
change ours then?
what's that?
How do we change ours?
You think your buildings are actually very much the same as this one. Instead of a building back here, they did like a little telephone thing, but we are going to add value through colored pencil. Okay, we're going to give this some color. What's that? After you draw everything with your pencil, yep, then you use colored pencil. We'll talk about colored pencil tomorrow a little bit. This is another cityscape one. Let's just look at these really fast. We're running out of time. Things are getting lighter towards our horizon line. You can see on the road, things are getting lighter. All the buildings look a lot smaller compared to this one, but it has kind of this downtown theme. This one is where? Where is that?
New York.
Okay, yeah, I think this is one. Is this New York, Mr. Hayes? Hey, really fast. No, freeze for a second. I'm going to go through all of these. This one is a snowy town. That can be a theme. This one is a baseball stadium. We'll talk about that tomorrow, how that works. All right.